Welcome to the Herf and Dan show. Today is April 24th, and it's just me and Herf today. What's going on, brother?
We're back. We didn't. Well, I think what we did last year or last go with this podcast thing is we weren't able to get guests, and we really want to guest, and we just kind of gave up. And so I'm like, let's just keep the momentum going. Let's do one just solo. We got a bunch of things to catch up on, anyways. So this is perfect.
Yeah, I really liked when you said that. I was listening back to one of our old episodes, one of our 20 listeners, and we had a great episode, Free Michelob's, after Shelly's 60th birthday party.
I'm trying to remember. I was trying to remember what we talked about there.
We talked about you talking to this UPS girl, and it was one of the funniest things ever. You were saying that you went back there for 2 whole weeks and just to kind of talk to her.
Yeah,
It's a sick move.
I made a lot of returns in that 2 week period. She definitely thought I was a psycho or yeah, I don't know, a lot of things. I still think
Yeah,
about
I
her.
mean,
I wonder what she's up to
I was gonna say,
nowadays.
what is she up to?
She seems
Probably
like
just
way
breaking
too
hearts.
good to be working at UPS. Not that there's anything wrong with working at UPS, but she
Hmm.
seemed just smart and good looking. Like she could do a lot of things. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
maybe we'll have to set her up with John Ford.
Yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, they'd be perfect for each other.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what else is funny. See this hat right here?
Hmm.
Ben Kunkel texted me. He was like, "Any chance you have my black Nike hat?" And I was like, "I do have your black Nike hat." And can you believe that two of your best buds in the whole world stole both of your favorite two black hats this weekend?
Yeah, that was a good come up. I don't think he's getting that one back.
So
Sorry,
listen to
Ben.
this. I got him that hat because Dietz always wears that hat. I don't remember what the brand is called, but it's a great hat, great fitting hat. It's very slick. So I usually like to go to eBay before I buy things on an actual website. This is like a pro tip here. So I go on eBay and there was only one available or there was a bunch available, but they were like 60 bucks. There was one other one available for auction, 29.99. So I bid $30. 4.5 days go by, and I end up getting a notification from eBay saying you won the bid. So I won that hat. I
It's
mean, I had to
awesome.
pay for it, but I got it for $30 instead of $60. So always remember that before you buy something, go to eBay. You might end up getting a steal.
Yeah, I do not utilize eBay enough, but
Yeah,
that's a great
eBay's
hat,
awesome.
and
I just
I
bought
will be
some.
wearing it.
I just bought Morgan some AirPod Maxes from there. Literally half the price that they
Really?
were on the website and Amazon, and they're the exact same ones. They work great. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I
awesome.
guess just being used. I'm gonna have to start using that tip.
Yeah, it's huge. What else is going on? What
Uh,
what happened with Tucker Carlson and Don
Dude,
Lemon?
I don't
Ironically,
know. I mean, I just saw that he got, they're splitting ways. I don't know if he got, so I know one thing that happened last week was that Fox News had to pay like $787 million dollars for this Dominion settlement. Dominion was the voting machine that Fox News would sort of, they were saying it could have been a fraud. Like Trump was sort of saying that his lawyer, I forget her name, but she was nuts. She was saying that she was going to release the Kraken, and that the Dominion voting company was like fraud. And basically, what happened is I think they were suing Fox News for like 1.5 billion, and they ended up settling for half of that. But it's interesting because this is kind of getting into some technical legal jargon, but the standard for someone who's a public person to, if you're going to be sued for libel, basically, if you're saying something that's not true about someone, if I were to say that about you because you're not a public person, like it would just have to be false. So if it was false, you could sue me and you could collect money. But if you're a public person, if you're in the public eye or you're a company and you say something that's false, it has to be malicious, or, you know, the person who said something wrong had to know it was wrong. So it would have been a tough lawsuit for Dominion to win. So I was sort of surprised that Fox settled for that much, because that was the largest communications settlement ever. But I don't know if that, I'm assuming that had something to do with Tucker leaving, but pretty crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. Curious. It's interesting. You wonder if he resigned or if they cut him and they did it over the weekend so he didn't have a shot to speak on it on Monday. Because it seems kind of crazy. I think he's been there since 2016, that they wouldn't give him like a last show. But I'm sure he'll be fine.
That is pretty strange. I feel like they must have not left on great terms, because I feel like his last show he might have trashed Fox News or something.
It's crazy to think that someone could work for a company for that long and be that big of a asset to that company and then just leave on bad terms and not even really get a shot to say goodbye. Be curious.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll go on the Full Send podcast again and tell us what really happened.
Yeah, that podcast was great. Him on Full Send was an all-timer. Did you listen to that podcast?
I did, yeah.
How crazy is it that he just doesn't have TVs in his house?
Yeah,
and he just never looks at screens.
Awesome. Smart. I don't blame him.
I don't either.
Speaking of that, no social media for almost a month now. The first week, I went on the first 2 weeks, I think I went on Saturday or Sunday, like once, just like because I wanted to post something. And I think it goes back to that, like, was it 3-week rule? If you just are able to stay disciplined on something for 3 weeks, you kind of like forget about it and don't crave it anymore. Weird thing to say about social media, but it is addicting. No, I wanted to go on to post something yesterday. I was like, nope, not even gonna download it. I don't want to, but it's been great. I'm so much more locked in at work. Just
for sure. I think Instagram
I mean,
specifically, dude. Like I think like 2 weeks ago I deactivated my Instagram, so like you can't find me, which is nice, because when I delete the app, I'd get on Safari or something like that. But you have to, like, if you deactivate it, then you have to reactivate it. So it's kind of stopped me from getting on. But that's one that, after 2 minutes, you see everything you need to see.
Yeah.
And you're just wasting time after that.
I mean, I'll look at it when I'm at the stoplight for like a minute.
Yeah.
I'll just be going, and then I'll be at a stop sign 2 minutes later, and I'll look at that. It's like ridiculous. And we know we've been talking about this for so long. I've known about this for so long, but it just gets you. So just delete your social media. There's a great book called Delete Your Social Media, and they say delete it, delete all of them, and never download them again. You'll be good. Crazy.
Seriously, man.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's tough with promoting the pod. It's like I don't want to get on it.
Yeah.
I don't want to get on anything.
I want to go on and post it, and I'm like, not worth it. I need to though.
Yeah, I was on the Herf and Dan show Instagram the other day, but like I think we follow like 50 people, so you don't really see much.
Yeah, you'll find it. So back to the Tucker thing. So I immediately, whenever someone sent that in the group, I sent it to Dr. Oz. Beast. Responded 2 minutes after I texted him. I sent him the link. I said, I vote Dr. Oz to take over the 8 p.m. time slot at Fox News. He texted right back. He said, you never know, with a question mark.
That's awesome.
Dude, he would be perfect for that. I don't know if that would work or not, but Rupert
that would
Murdoch,
be awesome. I feel like unfortunately, like, conservatives have a bad taste in their mouth because he lost, which, like, the more that I heard about it was more so because Mastriani was so bad that Shapiro kind of brought, what's his name? The big boy, Fetterman over the finish line.
Yeah.
But I'm sure people just have a bad taste in their mouth. But I would love it.
Yeah.
He was the 8 p.m. slot.
He would be perfect for that. He would be so good at the job. I don't know what. I think it's one of those things where, I mean, whoever they choose, they're going to get a lot of criticism. But he has a really good relationship with Rupert Murdoch, who is the owner of Fox News. I think they maybe just made like a movie or documentary about him. Pretty old fella, but obviously smart if you develop something like that. So I don't know. You never know, question mark. We'll see.
Yeah, I wouldn't rule it out.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Speaking of, have you ever seen Succession?
No, I think you or someone keeps talking
Yeah.
about it.
So it's like it's just loosely based on Rupert Murdoch. Like it's
Oh,
definitely
okay. That's what it is. All right.
yeah. So he's sort of there's this guy shit. Logan Roy is the guy's name and it's definitely supposed to be him. So it's
Okay.
kind of interesting. Like loosely based. It's just a
Mm-hmm.
huge media company and the guy's kind of a dick, but
Yeah.
and that's another thing about the Dominion lawsuit is that I think the Murdochs would have had to testify and like Tucker Carlson would have had to testify. So I think they just didn't want to get drugged through the muck.
Yeah.
And they were just like, we'll pay $250 million rather than do that. So
Really shows how much money. There's some things that happen where I think, wow, there's a lot of money in this world.
yeah, I think they have like $4 billion of cash on hand, which is nuts.
It's so crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. What's his name? Sean Hannity was basically our like consultant that no one knew about on that campaign. They talked every single day, so it wouldn't be the most shocking thing if he slid into that role.
Yeah,
We'll
I
see
could.
what-
I feel like to slide in the 8 p.m. slot, you have to be like, I don't know. I feel like they might even slide Hannity into the 8 p.m.
Yeah,
slot, but
I'd be
I don't
curious
know.
who like potential, um, like potential candidates are for that. Like, I'd love to know. Like, even when they choose, I'm curious who like the top three are for the
Yeah,
position because that's the
how they make
number
that
one
decision.
show in the like political show in the world. I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but
Tucker's Did you hear Tucker's probably going to Daily Wire? I feel like that makes
no,
sense.
is he?
Maybe that's just a rumor, but I think
Yeah,
I
I mean,
saw an article
I feel
about
like
that.
just no one has enough money to sign him
Mm-hmm.
because like he had to be making. This is a guess, but I'm guessing like 8 to 10 million a year.
Yeah. Well,
But
I don't know.
it's just a lot of money for someone like Daily Wire.
What do you think about? I feel like shifting over to football, like these contracts. It's funny how people kind of set, I don't know what the word is, the standard for contracts, and everyone thought like Deshaun Watson set the new standard where quarterbacks are going to go after complete guarantees now, and then Jalen Hurts just came in and was like, no, I don't need that. I'll only take $189 million guaranteed, but if I stick around, everything works out, I'll take 255, which ends up being the most in NFL history. It's kind of interesting. He like set the new tone, and now we have Burrow, the Chargers quarterback, all these other young guns coming up. Imagine just being a quarterback right now in the NFL and being the best at it.
Yeah, I mean, funny to say only $188 million, but yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts is definitely a I want to earn it kind of guy. Did you see him? He
Yeah.
just looked so sharp at his press conference.
Yeah.
That guy just exudes excellence.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Yeah,
such a
he's
stud.
awesome. I'm not even an Eagles fan. I love him. Him and Devontae Smith, I love them.
Yeah,
They're
AJ
just
Brown's
cool.
pretty sick too.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. I was just looking him up because the Steelers just signed Allen Robinson, beast, Penn
Didn't
Stater. I
even know
love
that.
him. Great signing. Apparently, he was like one of the biggest signings last year, and then I think the Rams had like 4 different quarterbacks, so it didn't work out. But A-Rob is 29, so I looked up how old. Who were we just talking about? The Eagles guy,
AJ Brown.
AJ Brown, because I was like, oh, maybe Allen Robinson will turn out to be as good as AJ Brown was last year. A little bit of a stretch, but he's 25. AJ Brown, that's nuts.
I did not.
Did you know that? I
No.
looked it up. I was like 25. I mean, he's
That's
like,
bananas.
yeah, and he's like, I feel like he was easily the best receiver in the NFL.
You
actually.
could have told me he was any age, and I would have been like,
That's what I'm saying. I figured he was like
believe it.
29. I'm like, oh, this might check out. 25. That's amazing.
I guess he was drafted by the Titans and balled since he was a rookie. But
Yeah.
25 just seems young. Like he's
Yeah.
3 years younger
'Cause
than
he's-
us.
I know, and he's been in the league for at least 3 years, maybe 4 or 5. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
Yeah, I feel like the age that we're at now is so funny too because like majority of the players are younger than us.
mm-hmm.
Just feels weird. I
Yeah,
still feel like they're a lot older than me.
it's really weird. I always think I love like free agency in the NBA and in the NFL. I just think like being an agent in the NFL or just a manager for athletes would just be like the coolest job. I'm sure it's not as easy as it sounds. Like I feel like we only
Yeah.
see the glorified parts of it, but
Yeah, I mean the basis for all of it is like understanding contracts, which means that likely you were an attorney, which means you have to read like 300 pages a day.
yeah,
It's,
that's a
that would kind
lot.
of suck. I
Yeah,
fucking hate reading things that aren't interesting, and I think
yeah,
and like I've been going over contracts recently and reading the contract lingo is so brutal.
yeah.
It's like could
Well,
not do that. But I mean, it
it's
would be
weird because
cool
like
in theory
yeah,
if
when
you
you
have a
buy
bunch
like
of
a
cool.
house or a car, there's all this paperwork, and we just kind of like just sign it and move on. But imagine the lawyers and people who actually have to know what's in that. You would actually have to read every little detail, interpret it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's not fun. I don't know how lawyers do what they do sometimes. Like defending cases, the amount of prep that must go into that. I guess that's why they make so much money and deserve it. But I mean, when do you have a life when you got to learn that much?
Yeah, that's not my ideal occupation.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's tough.
Speaking of the new job, how's it going?
It's good. It just keeps getting a little bit better, and then it sucks, and it's like Tyler had a nice message to me the other day, and just like I feel like when you start anything for the first time or you're new at something, it kind of sucks because there's such a learning curve to get over. So I'm just going through that, and but it's cool. I mean, the job is essentially going to be interacting with all the C-suites in Pennsylvania, just big business owners in PA. So I'm hoping to have a good relationship with them and keep doing this for the chamber or propel me into another role with one of these uh, like employers in Pennsylvania. But it's pretty interesting. I get to travel with the president of our organization, he's like younger, like low 40s, but just like a good energy guy. Like the first day I traveled with him, he was just going through Twitter, just telling me all like the free agency updates. Like he's the one who broke the Allen Robinson news. I was like, oh, this is great. Shouldn't you
Oh, that's
be
awesome.
shouldn't you be making a call right now? But it was it was it was cool. So we get along well, and he works super hard, and he's just like motivated. He was supposed to get this like super high paying, high up job with a bank, and he was just like, nah, F it. I'm going to the Pennsylvania Chamber where our mission is to make Pennsylvania the best state in the country to do business. Like if we have it our way, if we get to, because we have like government affairs team, so we promote a lot of policies and lobby on their behalf. And it's like if we have it our way, it'll be the easiest state in the country to do business, and that just gets him fired up because he just hates people leaving the state, like growing up here but then leaving to work or leaving because there's nothing to do here. So um, yeah, he loves it, and it's motivational, and I mean, it's not like the coolest thing ever, but like my level of the coolest thing ever would probably be like getting to travel around with Dana White. Like that would be the dream for me, is to be his like right hand man. But we're at least representing businesses, which is cool, and meet a lot of good people through
Yeah, I
that.
feel
So
like
it's been fun.
anyone who has, a mission that's like so, focused on it, it's captivating. It's like
Hmm.
infectious in a certain sense.
Yeah,
Like even if it's something that I'm not interested in, it's like if someone's so interested in it, then it'll get me. I'll
yeah,
be like, yeah, this guy.
yeah. It's very cool, and like he randomly like knows so many different people. Like he was just telling me a story about how he had dinner with like Mike Tyson. Like he'll just like he was at like a golf outing with Bruce Arians in his foursome over the weekend, just like random people who I'm like, how do you know these people?
Yeah.
Like, you've lived in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania for like 20 years. But I guess when you're in the business world, you're just connected to a bunch of people. I actually reached out to the guys who run Full Send and Happy Dad today, and I was like, if there's two things I want to accomplish in my time here at the chamber, it's A, bring the UFC back to Philly for an event or somewhere in Pennsylvania, and B, get Happy Dad into all the beer distributors in Pennsylvania. And when we do, I want to help like assist in finding the places where you guys do your grand opening, just facilitating that whole thing, basically just so I can be around those guys. But I just think they're the coolest dudes, so I just want to be connected in some way. And like our goal is to bring business to PA, so that's bringing business in PA, and it's a good business that I think will boom if we can get them there. So hopefully
sure.
John and Sammy and all those guys get back to me.
Yeah, when was the last time the UFC was in PA?
Justin Gaethje versus Edson Barbosa. It was like 2009, I believe. But
Wow.
I mean, they have to come back at some point. I want to, like, we have an account with Zoom Info, and Zoom Info is sweet because you can pretty much look up any executive's like contact information. It's like sometimes I'll just snoop around there after hours, and like I got like what the hell's his name? General counsel at the UFC who makes like all the big decisions for them. Like I got his contact info, and I'm about to just reach out to him and be like, hey, what do we have to do to get the UFC back to Philadelphia? Like we want to bring business here. Like we have a good relationship with the new governor. Like if that's what it takes, we'll do it, but just let us know.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So I just want to get in touch with those guys. Hunter Campbell's his name. Beast.
Gotcha.
Dana
Yeah, I've
name
definitely
drops
heard
a
that
lot.
name before.
He's the man. Also, was just listening to Timbo Sugar Show before we got on here because those guys always get me fired up. So they're going out to New York to film some stuff at the Madison Square Garden, and then they're going to the event at in Newark, New Jersey, because it's pretty close to New York. So they're gonna be there. So I've been looking at tickets every single day. I'm thinking about pulling the trigger. They're just so expensive. It's
Yeah, what's the
crazy.
cheapest one in the house?
So like the cheapest one was $470, and then I clicked on it to like, get the fees, and it was like $515. And that just seems like a lot of money. But I think I'm gonna wait until the end, which is either gonna work out in my favor or crush me in the end. And hopefully get one like the day before, the day of, and hope that they drop or something's open. But I don't know. I'm
Yeah, you
figuring
almost
it out.
have to hope for like shitty weather, and people are like, "Yeah, I'm out."
I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm keeping the 6th open. I'm thinking about it's like an hour and 45 from my house. So I'm thinking about just driving there, not drinking, no extracurriculars at all, and just taking it all in. I feel like I'll get a
That would be
high
awesome.
just from being in that environment.
It'd be
and then
so
just
cool if you
driving
could
back at
meet up
night,
with Sugar and the boys.
Yeah, and if I ran into them, they'll be like, "Holy shit, that's the dude from Pennsylvania!" Like, just come down, sit front row with us. It'll be great.
Yeah, like you just came here by yourself.
Yeah, they're like, "You're here solo." I mean, I have to
You're
think
crazy.
that the people there are like also diehard UFC fans. If
Yeah,
you're willing
everyone's
to
paying
go to
that
that,
much.
so I feel
Yeah.
like I'll just make friends with the people around me. So I'm not too worried about that part.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I'm just thinking about because I was in Florida for a country festival concert, Tortuga, or better known as Tortugues. And like I think it was $350 for three days.
That's a great
You
deal.
know, so, yeah, it is a great. I mean, in comparison to that, it's just like holy shit.
Yeah.
Like 500.
I always think
bucks
like,
for-
what if guys like if you're in attendance and like there was an event last year in New York and the main event like the dude's shoulder popped out in the first round, they barely got to see a fight at all. Like if you paid all that money and then like a freak injury happens in the main event, you're like, oh my God,
Yeah, or
like
even one that
this
was like
sucks.
all, um, hyped up to be huge, like John Jones, Cyril Gane, and just John Jones puts him to sleep in the
Yeah.
first round. Was it the first
Yeah.
round, right?
Yeah. It was like first two and a
First
half
two
minutes.
minutes.
Yeah. I mean, that would be a little bit disappointing.
It would.
But like another example, remember when Adesanya fought Yoel Romero and that was supposed to
Yeah.
be just a banger and they just stood there and looked at each other the whole time?
Yeah, that'd be
Fortunately,
brutal.
Fortunately, the co-main of that one was Wei Li versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk. That like the greatest women's fight ever. So at least
Yeah,
they
that
got
was
that.
scary.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel pretty good. Did you see Bilal and Gilbert agreed to fight each other on 2 weeks' notice
No. When's that one?
on the May 6th card? So our guy
Oh, so
Dariush,
okay,
yeah.
gotcha. So it'd be the one in
So
Newark.
Oliveira dropped out. Dariush is very upset, but they moved that to the Canada card in June. But then Bilal and Gilbert have both been complaining because they think they deserve the title fight, even though Colby is getting the title fight. So Gilbert will have fought on the January pay-per-view in Brazil, the March pay-per-view that they just had in Vegas, and now the May pay-per-view in May.
That's nuts.
Yeah, so that's
Like, I
like
mean, he
three
didn't take
times.
much damage in the
No,
last fight.
against Masvidal, hardly
Yeah,
any.
Street Judas.
Yeah,
But
he
the
got
one before
submission
that,
in the
who
January
did
card.
who did he fight?
Say that again.
The fight before Masvidal in
Yeah, Neil
January.
Magny. He submitted him in the first round. Easy,
Yeah,
took no damage.
that's
So
wild. How you can.
he's
Some people
definitely
need like a year before they can fight. 'Cause
yeah, he's definitely in good shape, and he hasn't really taken too much damage. So it's pretty sweet. But that whole card's pretty good. There's some studs on it, and I would probably just get there early and just like watch every fight.
just get there as soon as the doors open. Just
Yeah.
yell for Dana White.
Yeah, get my money's worth. I'm trying to. It's hard to figure out where I want to like get seats because like basically the most front row you can get is $10,000. So obviously I'm not gonna do that, and then it gets cheaper. But I feel like the front row is cool, but then you don't have the best view because there's the cage, there's people in front of the cage. Like I don't know. So I'm thinking about getting. I really want to do like front row, even if it's up like on another level. But if I'm just like the first row, I feel like it'd be a decent view. I'd probably be standing up most of the time, getting fired up. So I don't know. We'll see. It'll be a good experience if I go.
Where does $10,000 get you? Is that like
That's
is that
like
like ringside?
that's like the closest ticket that they sell on like Ticketmaster.
Gotcha.
But like they have like they have another section that they call Billionaires Row. There's one that is like on the opposite side of the $10,000 ticket. I don't know what makes it better, but those ones sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars somehow, and they just put those guys with like all the celebrities and fighters who are kind of just in a pit, like wherever. They'll just put them around there. So I think that adds value. It's like you're close to a bunch of celebrities and
Yeah, that's
fighters.
wild.
But yeah, I mean, I had this guy who offered to take me to a fight at some point, and I'll make sure he never forgets that. He was like, "You and a buddy flying you out to Vegas for the biggest card of the year." And I was like, "Trust me, I know who I'm bringing, and I will make sure you never forget that offer."
Yeah, he's gonna regret that offer.
Yeah.
We just bring around like a microphone and interview people for the Herf and Dan show.
Oh, 100%. We'll do exactly what the schmo does. We'll get there a day
Exactly.
early and start doing interviews. I want to do that at some point.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Did you end up watching the Tank versus Ryan Garcia fight over the weekend?
I saw like clips of it, but I didn't see it. Did Garcia lost, right?
Yeah, Booze Hounds lost a bunch of money. I was like, yeah. Everyone's like, Garcia, he has the fastest hands, great left. I was like, yeah. I mean, just working the pads is one thing, but Tank is from Baltimore. He's like a bad dude. I would go Tank. I was pretty open about that. And second round, Tank caught him clean. Garcia went down. 7th round, he just hit him with the most perfect liver shot. And it was one of those weird, like, delayed reactions. And he just kind of, like, took a knee and went down. And I feel like to a casual, they'd be like, what a bitch. Why did he just go down like that? But I can't imagine what that pain feels like. And Garcia said after, he's like, I literally tried getting up and my body wouldn't let me get up. It just wasn't responding.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you fight that. Like, if your liver shuts down and you keep going, it's like,
yeah,
you could die out there.
It's crazy.
But what was how many rounds did it go?
7th round. Yeah, 7th round. So, like, I would say we got our money's worth. Like, it was a good scrap. It was fun. It's always good to see these dudes. Like, it was cool because usually the best dudes don't fight each other, and that's what separates the UFC from boxing. Like, people are always like, why do boxers get paid so much more money? And I'm like, because boxing puts on 1, maybe 2 great fights every single year, whereas the UFC is putting on good fights every single week. Like, they do like 40, at least more than 40, I think like 46 or 47 shows a year, and like they build up their fighters so that they like, it's not top heavy like boxing is.
Yeah, and I've
that's
heard
why.
with boxing,
but they're also
too,
building a business.
Right, and there's different commissions for boxing, and people care more about like an individual boxer more than like the UFC is what people care about. Like, people come to see the UFC, whereas the boxer, it's like, well, Tyson Fury's obviously gonna get whatever he wants because people want to see him. But like, if you leave the UFC and you're in the PFL, it's like no one's gonna see you because it's more about the business than it is a specific fighter.
And that's what like they get a bunch of crap for Francis Ngannou, and Ngannou wanted all these things, but like the UFC can't afford to like give all these things. Like, they're not only paying the fighters, but like they have like, I don't know if it's 400 to like 600 employees who actually run the UFC. And think about like they have to give them all their benefits, their salaries, pay for travel. I mean, it's crazy how much. I would love to like see their slips and know how much money is actually spent to put on
and like
a UFC
investing
event.
in the whatever they have in Vegas, like all of the training shit that they put in. What's that called in Vegas?
The UFC Apex.
Yeah, Apex. Like, and people can come train it there and whatnot. So they're kind of like investing in the business more rather than just like a big fight.
Yeah, and it's like the whole business in a world scheme. So they're building a UFC Apex in Mexico currently. They're building one in Africa. So like they're trying to grow the sport in the entire world. Make this like the biggest sport in the world, not just the biggest sport 1 or 2 weekends out of the entire year.
Yeah, exactly.
So another thing I wanted to say. Did you see the dude? His name is like Bill Allegio. He won Fight of the Night 2 weeks ago at the Miami card. Happens to be from King of Prussia, right down the road from us. He has his own gym. It's called like Allegio MMA. So this dude wins Fight of the Night. First of all, he ends up getting on the mic and he like pretends like he's gonna retire, and he was like, "F that! I would never retire at a shithole like Kansas City." Huge, and just starts shitting on Kansas City, and then he's obviously getting booed. But he's like a huge Philly guy, like from Delaware County, lives in King of Prussia, huge Eagles fan, and he was just like, "F Kansas City, they took our Super Bowl away from us." But it was hilarious.
Awesome. Yeah, my barber is like very much into the jiu-jitsu in the Philly area. I'm sure he knows this guy. He knows like every jiu-jitsu guy who is in like the Delaware County vicinity.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask him, and he's like a huge UFC guy.
Ask him about this guy. You should rewatch his fight and his interviews. He was great, and then he went on Ariel, and he's a beast. He's like our kind of guy. I wish that I would have known about this months ago. So when I wasn't working, I would have probably gone to KOP and trained at his gym. But he seems like a really good coach. But I might just show up there sometime and ask if he wants to come on the pod because he'd be sweet to talk to.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm always scared to like walk into a gym that has people in the UFC just because the intensity is like, intensity in jiu-jitsu is kind of scary. I don't want to like chip a tooth, or break an orbital.
I was pissed. I met this dude who's running for city council in Philly, and he trains MMA, has had like professional pro fights. He's really good friends and trains with, what the hell is his name? What is his name? I don't remember his name. Joe Pfeiffer is his name. Be like Joe Pfeiffer. Dana has helped this dude out. He's a stud. He texts me. He's like, "Hey, I have my key fundraiser next Thursday. Like, would love for you to make it. Joe's gonna be there. He's like speaking on my behalf." And I was like, "Oh, this is great." Then I had to go out to Pittsburgh for like these board meetings, so I missed it. But I'm pissed because I wanted to meet this guy, and he's a stud. And he's gonna be potentially a champ, and Dana loves him. He tried out for the Contender Series twice. The first time he was kicking this dude's ass and ends up getting in a weird position, dislocates his elbow. It's like disgusting. So then he has to, and he's like poor, like living on his friends' like couches. Dana finds out about this. Dana basically is like bankrolling him while he goes through recovery, gave him like an apartment to stay in, all these things. Comes back, has this sick performance on the Contender Series, and then he's 2-0 in the UFC right now. He's a stud, but he's right out of Philly. There's a bunch of good Philly guys.
That's awesome. What's what weight class?
185. He's
huge. Weight class.
Yeah, he's scary. He's a beast. So he's another guy. Something random. Have you ever done a cleanse?
I guess like I don't know the definition of a cleanse, but I've never like taken, a week of supply from some company. I feel like Erica's always doing a cleanse.
Yeah. How did her cleanse go, by the way? She had a big one.
Pretty good, I think. I think she was like a month no alcohol, and it was like a bunch of weird things like she couldn't eat, but she's feeling better now, so I think good.
Did she like stay disciplined through the whole thing? I would love to do it for that long, but I couldn't stay disciplined that long.
Yeah, she was for the first 3 weeks. I think the last week she kind of like was starting to feel better, so she like added a couple more things. But yeah, like overall, I think it did her well apparently.
Yeah, I've tried but never been able to stay disciplined. Dana just posted. He just did a cleanse recently. It's called Zen Cleanse. He like posted about it and was like, "I'm not even sponsored by this company, but my doctor suggested I tried it. Unbelievable. But it's a colon cleanse. I don't really understand the colon, but I think that's like once our food is digested, it goes through the colon and then it comes out as number 2. So he didn't eat for a whole weekend and did this Zen cleanse thing that is supposed to cleanse your colon. And he said he felt like $1 zillion after it was done, but they're like $250, and I'm debating pulling the trigger on them.
So it's just not eating, and
so it's not eating, but they send you this like box, and it has these liquids. I don't know exactly what they are in them, and I don't know what the hell's in it or what it does, but I really want to try it because I feel like
if you didn't want to spend $250, just not eating for 2 days would probably make you feel pretty sweet too.
I agree. Or finding out what all the active ingredients are in this stuff and then just make my own.
That'll probably do the trick. Yeah, I did just a 24-hour fast the other week and felt great.
Yeah.
And then that next feel, you're just like, whew, good luck stopping me.
Yeah, I'm going on a 24-hour like fast right now. Last time I ate was 7 p.m. yesterday. Haven't eaten today because I've been too locked in on this project. So I'm feeling great. It's amazing how good you feel.
I know, dude. And like it makes sense. A lot of people say that, that is in a lot of religions because it's like good for you. It's like a good way to pass
Yeah.
that sort of trait or, you know, basically just pass that down. So people are doing it, but like connecting it to a religion so people continue to do it. But
Yeah, that's a good idea.
yeah.
I like that. The other thing I have on my list here, and if you have anything to talk about, is officially going to Morgan Wallen on May 18th. Thanks
Hell yeah, dude.
to Alec Warner. Alec is a rock star. He bought like 6 tickets on like a pre-sale that were only $150 each. I've been like looking at tickets for the Hershey concert. The cheapest ticket, $350. I'm like, my God. Emily posted something on her story. Morgan was like, should we get these? And I was like, yeah, let me text Al. And we're getting them for more than half the price. It's great. And then,
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember Al doing that. He said he was going to buy 6. It's crazy they're going for that much.
yeah, it's nuts.
Because I bought 2 for Philly, and I bought some really good tickets, and I think I bought 2 for a total of like 400, and now each one is going for 400.
Yeah.
So
Crazy.
I'm like, do I sell them? Do I not? Because my dad also got box tickets, so I'm like, but then you want to be on the floor. You want to be screaming Morgan Wallen songs. I don't want to be, keeping my voice down.
Yeah, that's a good point. What a
So,
tough predicament for you to be in.
I know. I mean, that's a champagne problem thing right there.
Yeah. But then on the 20th, 2 days later, I just got invited to the Shane Gillis show, which I'm super pumped about.
That's going to be sick, dude.
I know. I've never.
We need to.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I've never been to a real comedy show and somewhere like that before. I've only ever been to Gillis's like small venue show. So
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I've ever been to a big. I went to Dane Cook one time at the Giant Center, and
beast.
I mean, I didn't know what the hell comedy was. I think I was surprised that I knew all of the bits because like I'd seen his special, and I think he was still doing the same special, and I remember being shocked that people do the same thing, because I thought people just go up, like comics are able to just do another hour, just like do a brand new hour every time they perform. But Shane's gonna be awesome. I mean, I remember I saw like 45 minutes of his new material, and he is just somehow continues to get funnier.
Yeah. How do you think? Have you ever listened to them? How do they like come up with these jokes? Do you know how they like write these and how this all comes about?
Yeah, I know a lot of it's. You can hear some of it from the podcast. Like,
Really? Just like they get ideas.
Yeah, he has a Special Olympics joke that is one of the funniest things ever, and I remember hearing it on the podcast. Like that was the origin of it. And for comics, just like being able to bounce ideas off of other people for an hour, like
Yeah.
seemingly his best friend, it's like that's kind of how you get your material. But we gotta get to that after party. I need to text Shane.
Do you have like a notes? Like, do you ever think of like bits or jokes that you think would be funny, and you're like you write them down just in case you ever have to get on stage and do comedy?
I remember I did that like 2 years ago, and then I looked back at it and I was like, this is the dumbest shit ever. But Sherry and I have like skits that we think of, and they're actually funny. I almost want to pitch them to Shane. They're that funny.
I just went to it. I wish the last time I wrote something was 6/8/2021, and the thing at the bottom actually kind of funny. I don't know. I hope I didn't steal this, but it was the first guy to ever say hot dogs or legs was probably the man.
That's pretty good.
Like whoever knows.
Imagine just getting up on stage and saying that though. Like people would be like, okay, Like, how hard is it to be a comic?
That's what I'm saying. I feel like they set it up so well. So you'd have to like you'd have to like say it, but then set it up and be like, yeah, imagine you're just having the best day, just laying on the beach, and you take a picture of the ocean and realize your legs are there, and you're like, wow, this kind of look like hot dogs. Next thing you know, you're just getting out your editing tool and scribbling on some mustard on one and ketchup on the other, and then posting it to your Snapchat story. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
but imagine
I'm
being able
sure
to
there'd
make
be
that sound funny.
some good intros to that, but like for them, it's crazy. Like, you know, a throwaway joke is like Mark Norman is so good at that. He'll say things and not even dwell on them at all, and he'll be like, "That was the funniest thing I've ever heard," and he's just like on to the next thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited for that guy's show.
I'm actually more excited for Tim Dillon. That's so cool.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen his stand-up, so I'm excited as well. But I would never say I'm more excited for another comedian.
Yeah, that's true.
Shout out Shane.
Yeah, Shane's the man. I'm curious.
We need to. I want to ask him one time. Just be like, can you just come on for like 30 seconds so we can get your face, so we can like say you were on the podcast?
I think he will.
I think he would.
He'll want to come on.
We were joking around that because we were at Brew House.
Yeah, weren't you just with him?
Yeah, I just ran into him at Brew House, and we were saying that. Well, he was like, I was thinking about renting out the Brew House for after the show, and he was like, should we? Like to me and Brandon Kuntz, and Brandon and I were like, yeah, and then like our joke was telling all of our friends that me, Brandon, and Shane are renting out the Brew House because like he asked, and like not even for the show, we're just renting it out. Like he was the one who proposed it. But I'd imagine somewhere in the 717, hopefully West Shore back home.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, I don't even know. Going back to the guy I work with, the president, he like knows Shane. He was like, Shane, we're thinking about hosting the after party for him. So we were just in a group chat texting with him the other day, and just like trying to figure out where we're gonna go after it. But it would, kind of makes sense to have him let us do it because we're basically just gonna do all the work for him. He'll just have to show up. So,
right, yeah, I think he was talking about sounded like he was talking about funding the brew house himself, which would just, if someone's going to do it for you, it's like,
yeah, why not?
Why not?
That's great. Do all the work to get people there.
Yeah,
that's all he would really need to do is post where he's going after.
I'm sure that it would be. That's another thing. If someone else is hosting, it's like, who are all of these people? I think he kind of seemed like he just wanted to have the bros.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad I snuck into that list.
Oh yeah, that'd be perfect. Do you? That's a good point. Do you know what time that is? Like, what? Do you know when?
I think like 7, 8, something like that.
Well, it's not too late. I just asked Morgan if she wanted to go, and she said we have to go to a baptism the next day. And originally it was at 9, but now it's at like 1 o'clock. So I think we'll be good to go there. We can't get too crazy the night before the baptism. But
I got one thing in my notes here. That when I was at Tortuga Country Festival, some of the headliners, it was a good show or good weekend. It was Eric Church, Shania Twain, who's not good, and Kenny Chesney. And one of the craziest things happened. Like Kenny was on Sunday. He was the closing act. He was crushing it, maybe 2 or 3 songs in. And like he's playing and there's lightning in the background and it's just kind of like unsettling. It's like, is this going to get canceled? What's going to happen? So like in the middle of one of his songs, you could hear you could see he got something in his headphones that was like, I got to go, like find cover, like we're going to come back. And then he left and everyone just starts like sprinting out and we're on the beach and everyone starts sprinting towards the exit and we're hanging around. It's not raining too bad. And then it starts pouring. So we're like, oh crap, we're kind of near the stage. We take cover sort of under this concession stand. And then it starts really pouring, like where we were under, barely any covering. And then it started coming down like sideways. So we're just getting soaked. So now the people are like, you have to leave. And we're like, okay. So we start trying to exit back to where everyone was exiting, where we came in. They're like, you can't go that way. So we're on the beach near the water, and we're like, okay, where do we go? So we had to go the opposite way, and like right next to or behind the stage was a hotel that was like fenced off. So there's just hundreds of people hopping this fence to get to this hotel and take cover. And then we eventually get over, and there's a pool, and it's just hundreds of people from the festival all like cannonballing into this pool. And it looked like something out of like a movie scene. Anyways, we take cover in this cabana, and like the rain kind of passes, and we hear them like sound checking. So we're like, okay, let's get back out there. There's no one out there. So we just get front row to Kenny.
Oh my God.
And seeing Kenny front row, like we've seen Kenny a couple of times, and we're always like way, way up there. So seeing him that close was just like one of the coolest concerts I've ever been to.
Especially after there's something to be said about like going from a high to disappointment to thinking it's going to be over to another huge high, and when you end up in just the best spot.
Yeah, it was an all-time like roller coaster of emotions.
How do these things work? Are they literally just on the beach?
Yeah, there's just two stages that are like 500 yards apart from each other, and like as you get close to the one, you can hear that music, and then as you get close to the main stage, you can hear that, and it's just like a sea of people. That's the other thing is when we got to the front row, no one was in there, and everyone started filing back in, and then you turned around and there's like 50,000 people behind you, and it's like, oh my God.
What a shit show.
Yeah,
that's awesome,
it was sweet.
Glad that worked out.
Shania Twain, though, so bad. If you're listening, Shania,
I wonder,
you stink.
Yeah, I wonder how they schedule those, because I feel like they can't put all the best people like at the top, because then people just come at the very end and skip. So they are almost like, all right, good person, then some average people, or maybe people just went for Shania Twain. Who knows?
I bet there were some that went for Shania Twain, but I think if you interviewed them after and asked how she did, they'd be lying if they told you she did well. I think that last year they had Morgan Wallen, Luke Combs, and Thomas Rhett. I think they just wanted a female headliner.
Interesting.
And couldn't get Taylor Swift.
Kind of like a chick fight, you just kind of...
Exactly.
Wait for it to be over.
Yeah.
Very good.
But...
All right. Well, I don't know if you heard, but Morgan was unloading groceries about 20 minutes ago. So hope that wasn't too loud, but I think that means it's time for dinner. Okay, good. I'm glad I didn't pick that up, because I was like, hey, maybe keep it down over there.
I'm doing my podcast.
Yeah, we're doing our podcast that you're such a big supporter of.
Oh, that's good stuff. All right. Well, we got a solid 53 minutes. Hopefully we can get a good guest next week.
Yeah, do you have any good guests that you're thinking of? I have like a whole list, and I'm almost like scared to reach out to people.
I know. I want to text Eggy, but I think I'd have to text him like a week in advance.
Yeah.
But he's one. Brenneman's one that would be good to get on. So
yeah, I want to talk.
Those are two.
I have written out some like scripts, or just not scripts, but just like ideas for people, and I have some interesting stuff to talk to Brennan about that he doesn't talk about with his new gig. So I think we'll make it interesting and fun, and then he'll clip it and post it to his social and get the word out. It'll be fun.
Yeah, it sounds like a plan.
Cool.
All right, let's close it off here. Thanks for listening. We will talk to you next week.
All right. See you, Jobins.
Peace.